did a quick check with my iPhone decimal reader. Decimal? Decibel reader. Welcome to the channel, guys. Thanks for watching. Inside this box I have a set of Hothead headliners, and basically what these guys do is they mount to the roof of the inside roof of the Jeep and reduces noise as well as radiant heat from the sun hitting the top of the Jeep top. And basically it's just a composite shell in there now. There's no headliner whatsoever, so it can get very hot up there. It looks like a very easy installation. I'll link to the Hothead headliner YouTube page as well as another video that I watched where a guy tested temperatures as well as decibel readings before and after the install. And there's another product they make called Sound Assassin, which are basically strips that go underneath the sections of headliner. I'm going to do a basic installation video. This isn't going to be a super detailed thing. Not that you need it. It's not real hard. But follow along and you can check out how this works, and I'll give you an idea of what my decrease in sound was when I'm finished. I recorded some of my common roads that I drive on using the decibel meter app on my phone. Not scientific, but at least it'll give you an idea of the reduction. So thanks for tuning in. If you're new, please like and subscribe and check out my other videos. Let's get started on the install. So these are the Sound Assassin strips, and they go in little recesses in the top. That'll make sense in just a second. And these are the little panels, and they're all laid out and specific for each part of the top. They also make a side windows section, which is an additional charge. I did not purchase those. I just got the ones for the top. So here I have one of the Freedom panels off. I took it off to show you how you install these little Sound Assassin strips. And basically it's just sound deadening stuff. These can be a little messy. They're kind of tarry underneath this silver film, so just keep that in mind. Basically they fit into these recesses, and you will have to trim them on most of the panels, and they do give you a very good instructions on how to do this. So I'm not going to belabor the point all that much, but just to give you an idea of how it works, I wanted to show you this on the Freedom panel. This stuff is pretty forgiving. If you happen to put it on wrong, you can peel it off pretty easily. So basically, pull a little bit of the paper off, stick it on there, get it straight, and then push it down. And they provide a little plastic roller that you'll see here, and you just push it in. And it's the same process as you go through the different panels in the back of the Jeep as well. And you'll have to trim some, and some of them you will not. So here you just use the little cutoffs from the other strip to fill in this little curved area. And the instructions show you can use two little sections. I tried to cut it so it would fit the curve of the panel itself. Once you get the Sound Assassins installed, they say that you should pre-fit your panel just so you know how it goes in before you tear the tape off the back. But basically they suggest using blue painter's tape to mark where the 3M strips are so that you know where to put the pressure when you are pressing it on finally. So I just used two little strips just to give me a general idea of where to install that. Before you install the 3M tape and the panel, they want you to scuff the hardtop, they say 3 or 4 times in the areas where the 3M tape is. They provide 100 grit sandpaper for this, as well as a kind of a firm piece of cardboard to help you distribute pressure when you're pushing the panels on. Once you do the scuffing, they say use compressed air. I just use my Shop Vac and blew all of the dust off. Just make sure to get it off the best you can. And then once you do this, you use acetone, and they stress that you only use acetone to clean this. I'd use an old t-shirt. I wiped it down once, and then I put a little more on there and I wiped it down again just to make sure it's nice and clean so the tape has a nice good surface to stick to. Once you have the panel scuffed, blown off with compressed air, and then cleaned with acetone a couple times, you can go ahead and pull the strips on the 3M tape and fit your panel. Once you do that, use the provided piece of cardboard, and they say about 20 pounds of pressure on the panel itself. There is some mention of making sure you're at specific temperatures to do this, and that's all in the instructions, but 80 degrees sounded like about what they were looking for. It just makes the tape and the Sound Assassin stick better. So consult the instructions when you're doing this. Make sure you're warm enough, which here in Tucson this time of year we have no issues with. All right, I just scuffed and blew out my top. If you're super anal, you're gonna wanna put a big plastic sheet in here because you're gonna get dandruff all over your interior. I just used the Shop Vac there and cleaned mine out. And now we are going to wipe it all down with acetone, and then I'm gonna install the panels. So you start with the Sound Assassin panels once again, and for the most part, it's exactly the same as doing it on the ground. It's a little more awkward trying to get it lined up and figuring out how much you need to cut off, but it's, again, straightforward and pretty basic. So the Sound Assassins go just like they did on the Freedom panels. You basically measure them, cut them, and then stick them on. This back section here, you're basically gonna cut 2 long pieces and fill in the two of the sections here, and then the last section you use the 2 cutoffs and fill up that last part, and it fits basically right on. Just like with the Freedom top, you mark your strip location with blue tape, pull the covering off the tape, and then insert it into position. Use your piece of cardboard and give 20 pounds of pressure, and you're good to go. Moving on to the middle section here, this is a little bit more of a challenge because you have to get it up underneath the sound bar, which it's not like crazy hard or anything, but you just got to get your hand back up in there and make sure you're getting it pressed firmly onto the top. And installing the panel is about the same as the other ones. It's just the way you get it up in there, and I'll show you that here in a sec. This little section has no Sound Assassin pieces to it. You just press them in place, and the roll bar is a little bit in the way, but there's enough room to get some pressure on them. So the middle section is just a little bit different because you have to feed the panel up over the bar and get it all snugged in there. So you kind of push it towards the back, and then as you bring it forward, just kind of feel with your fingers and get it pushed up in there. And then you got to sneak your hand all the way back up underneath that bar and try to get some pressure on the panel in the back up there. It's a little bit tight, but you'll be able to get your hand up there. It's the next day, and I just took the Jeep for a quick ride after installing the Hothead headliners, and checked the decibel reader and compared it to my numbers from yesterday on the same roads, same speeds, etc. And probably around 3 decibels less. There's really, it's not some kind of amazing change audibly as far as noise levels go, but I will say that there's a little bit less echo sound in the Jeep now that those are on. Occasionally I would get a little bit of a noise, almost like you get when you get, we call it wiggle ear, but when you have a window down and you kind of get that pressure in the car. Sometimes I would get a little bit of that with the Jeep, but that seems to be gone now, and it is, according to the decibel reader, a little bit quieter. I got 3. It is a little bit windier today than it was the other day, so that could be part of it. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, someone got a significant decibel change, and again, that video will be linked below. But hopefully this was an enjoyable video. I'll give you some more shots of what it looks like inside. I really like the look of it, regardless of the sound, and it definitely will, I think, keep the heat down too inside there. So everyone have a good weekend. Happy Memorial Day here in the States, and we'll talk to you all soon.